this meeting going? Are we ready?
We are ready.
All right, then I'm going to call the May 9th, 2022 meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors to order. This is a real virtual meeting. All speakers, the board and staff, please announce your name when you begin to speak. This meeting is being live streamed and the slide on the screen shows the information on how to join our webinar via Zoom. You can also call into the meeting at 253-215-8782, and the webinar access code is 854-7082-8545. If you are participating by phone, please push *9 to indicate a desire to comment on an item. And if you're joining us online through Zoom, please push the raise hand button. Be sure to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak and voluntarily state your name for the record. And Tabitha, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Director Budge, currently absent, but I understand will be arriving at 6:30. And Director Harris.
I'm here.
Director Howell.
Here.
Director Nguyen.
Here, doing a mic check. Can you hear me coming through okay?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. And for the record, Director Nguyen will be attending on behalf of Director Hume this evening. Director Jennings is absent. Director Kennedy is absent. And Director Natoli. And he's here.
Just joined.
Director Natoli's here. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm here. Thank you.
And Director Chenier,
I'm here.
Director Cerna,
Here.
Director Valenzuela. Here. And Chair Miller.
Here, thank you for joining us this evening. And if you will, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, before we get started with the first item, and I'm going to need a motion for this. Mayor Steinberg and other city representatives are joining us for item 4.3, and I believe everybody is present now. So I'm asking to move items 4.3 and 4.4 ahead, just after the consent calendar. And with that, I'd ask for a motion.
Second.
Motion by Director Valenzuela, seconded by Director Chenier. Please call the roll.
Director Budge is absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Aye.
Director Nguyen,
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent, and Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes with 8 votes. And Chair Miller, do you mind if I go back and read the replay statement for?
Oh, I skipped right over that, huh? Yes, let's do that before the first item.
Okay. All right. So this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. Today's meeting will air on Saturday, May 14th at 1 p.m. and Sunday, May 15th at 11 a.m. on Channel 14 and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and is closed captioned. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14.
All right, now we're ready for the first item, I hope.
Okay, so
Mr. Chair, excuse me, got my hand
Oh,
up.
go ahead.
Sorry about that. This is just point of order. Can the clerk make sure that the vote tally screen share is accurate? I didn't see my name.
let's double check that.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry about that, Director Cerna, and let's go on to the consent calendar, please.
So we have consent calendar items 2.1 to 2.11.
Any director questions or wishing to have any of the items pulled? If not, I entertain a motion.
I'll move consent, Chair.
Motion by Director Harris.
Second.
Second by, I didn't hear who did that. Was that Katie?
Howell. Carrie.
Oh, Director Howell, second. Are there any, is there any public comment before we vote?
Yes, there's 2 hands raised.
Okay, I'll give them 30 seconds each.
Okay,
This is the consent calendar.
okay. Jeffrey Tartagia.
I Friday had the understanding that you could not use the webinar for public hearings. I am going to request, since you do have transcriptability, that you use the transcriptability of your, so that there is public record of all public comments made for this particular hearing until you check back with Assembly Bill in regards to how you conduct a public hearing. And if Olga needs to research this further, I will invite her to talk with Ken Cooley. Thank you. That's my public comment.
Okay. Next, please.
Next, we have Nick Bryant.
Nick, what item is this on?
Hello, my name is Nick Bryant. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. What item are you commenting on the consent
I want
calendar?
to just say that, every single time I always ride, when I ride the buses and I get down to the bus stop, the bus shelter 0119, and I'm always finding graffiti on our bus shelters at the 0119. That bus shelter is always being graffitied every single time. And we need to monitor that bus shelter because it gets somebody graffitis it every time. Last time I found graffiti was somebody drew on the map and I had to report it.
Thank you. That's the best way, is to report these so we can get to it and get the graffiti clean as soon as possible. I thank you for your comment. And with that, please call the roll.
Director Budge is absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Yes.
Director Nguyen,
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent, and Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller. The consent calendar passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
So as voted on, we're going to move to item 4.3, motion Roseville Road Safe Parking Program. The City of Sacramento attorney asked that we provide the board members and public with their frequently asked questions regarding homeless coordination, which is on the city website. And this information was emailed to the board and has been added to the board documents on the Sac Rt website. And Olga Sanchez Ochoa is here to present this item.
Good evening, Chair Miller, directors, representatives from the City of Sacramento, and members of the public. Since our last board meeting on April 11th, Sac Rt staff and the city have had a number of meetings to work through the remaining issues on the Roseville Road lease. Before discussing those issues, however, I'd like to give a special thanks to City Attorney Susana Alcala Wood for her willingness to work with my office to work out the remaining issues. She was very open and responsive to our concerns. So to the issues, the primary issue that was remaining at that time was enforcement within the public safety zone that the city is obligated to establish pursuant to the terms of the proposed lease. Because of the decision in Martin v. Boise, the city was reluctant to commit to enforce and remove unauthorized campers within the PSZ at and around the Roseville Road Light Rail Station. However, the authority that was delegated to the general manager to enter into the three-party lease between Sac Rt, the city, and Caltrans required that the lease contain an obligation that the city remove any unauthorized campers outside of the safe parking zone. After discussions with city staff, including the city attorney, the city clarified its position and agreed that it will enforce within those areas of the PSC that are on or within 25 feet of critical infrastructure as defined in the city's ordinance. So what that means is that the city has committed to enforce the restrictions imposed by the city's critical infrastructure ordinance within the PSC to the extent permitted by law. The area that will be covered by the city's agreement to enforce covers approximately 85% of the proposed zone. This includes the entirety of our parking lot and station platform. However, it does leave approximately 15% of the PSZ that will not be covered, and enforcement will only take place within those areas to the extent the unauthorized campers are engaged in illegal activities such as open drug use, public urination, defecation, etc. But to help mitigate those potential issues, Sac Rt, the city, and Caltrans will meet on a weekly basis to coordinate any issues that come up within the PSZ and review our monitoring metrics. So this evening, staff is here to ask that the board authorize the general manager to enter into the lease, understanding the enforcement will not take place in a very small portion of the station, but will take place in the majority of the station. A second issue that Sac Rt staff discussed with the city is whether the city would indemnify Sac Rt for any claims arising from the city's enforcement of the critical infrastructure ordinance within the public safety zone. The city confirmed that it would indemnify Sac Rt and Caltrans, and we have agreed to language that will be included in the lease agreement reflecting that commitment. The final issue that Sac Rt staff and city staff discussed was the issue of Sac PD officers assigned to Sac Rt and their ability to enforce the city's critical infrastructure ordinance within Sac Rt's property. The city advised that if Sac Rt adopts the city's critical infrastructure ordinance, Sac PD officers assigned to Sac Rt could enforce our ordinance. To achieve that, we're proposing amending our prohibited acts ordinance, which is found at Title 15 of our administrative code. And what we are doing is adding language that prohibits camping within 25 feet of critical infrastructure as defined in the city's ordinance and incorporating the city code by reference. Staff, that's the other item that's partnered with this. And so we're asking that the board also approve that change to Title 15. So this concludes my brief presentation, and now I'd like to turn it over to our general manager, Henry Lee, who would like to add on some information. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga.
Thank you, Olga. I also wanted to thank all the parties involved in the safe parking program in the last 6 to 9 months. And we have had, especially recently, we have had some highly productive and collaborative meetings. Both Sac Rt and the city staff significantly improved and sharpened our communication skills to navigate this extremely complicated process to find an innovative solution. City and Sac Rt team have met and communicated at least 10 times just in the last 2 or 3 weeks on all of the complicated issues, especially involving legal and regulatory compliance. Special shout out to the legal teams from both sides, City Council, City Attorney, and our General Counsel, Olga. And also I want to thank you, Jay, for encouraging the legal teams from both sides to help to build consensus. And since you asked us to do so, and the two-side legal teams worked very diligently to clarify lots of, the green zones, let's say, lack of the better words. No matter what the outcome would be, this has been a very significant undertaking, and I truly appreciate everyone's cooperation and the collaborative spirit. And the reason tonight, staff recommend board to approve this initiative. It's because both city and Sac Rt staff have done our best, due diligence to reach a reasonable deal to enforce the safety and indemnify Sac Rt. Both sides also agreed to meet every week in the future to identify any potential issues and proactively address these issues. So I think we are in a good stage to ask the board to approve this. And also Sac Rt will be looking for potential grants from federal and state, specifically just for this project to support cities' needs for additional operational cost under unhoused population care. But I also want to thank Mayor Steinberg for attending tonight's meeting and spearheading this extremely important project for the whole region. Mayor, do you have a couple minutes to speak?
I sure do. Mr. General Manager, I'm Darryl Steinberg, the mayor of Sacramento, former RT board member from years ago. I just wanted to come on to answer any questions, but really to give my profuse thanks to your general manager, Henry Lee, and to your chief counsel, as well as my city manager, Howard Chan, and our city attorney, Susan Alcala-Wood, and all of your respective teams. I know that these are not easy issues, and I know this has taken some time, but the product is worth the wait, in my opinion, because it establishes a precedent, and I think a very important precedent, that you are us and we are you. Really, even though we are separate governing bodies, the intersection of this issue impacts all of us, regardless of what our responsibilities are in leadership in this community. And so to be able to use this parking lot and to be able to alleviate the burden on Roseville Road itself and other parts of this part of our city and county, to provide relief and to use this as the beginning of a pathway for people and families out of this wretched condition of homelessness, I think is a heroic act. And I want to thank you, Henry, for wading through all of this and getting us to this place. If you want to look at the substance of the compromise, the city is indemnifying, of course, regional transit for any problems. And then in terms of the difference from the last vote that the RT board took, it's sort of an 85-15 compromise, because the city will continue to enforce and RT will continue to enforce the no camping area in 85% of the territory. It's only the 15% outside of the critical infrastructure zone that is changed from the prior deliberation that this board made some months ago. So I think this is really important. I commend this to you. I hope that we can move forward and begin to show that alternatives to homelessness are better than the current condition that we are all experiencing and all living through, and more importantly, that our constituents are living through and the people who are homeless are living through. We can do better, and this is a big step in the right direction. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your comments. And with that, I'd like to ask if there's any questions of directors. I'll follow that up with public comment and then comments from directors and I'd entertain a motion at that time. So with that, any questions from directors? I see Director Cerna with your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wasn't sure if Councilmember Harris was going to speak. I saw his hand up earlier, but I'll go ahead and say a few words here. First, I'd like to thank Henry and his team, our team, and the city of Sacramento as well, and express my gratitude to Mayor Steinberg for sticking with this. This has been a compliment to everything else that both the city and county have been working on individually and in tandem for months now, if not years, to address the ongoing complexities of making sure that we address our constituents who are unsheltered in a compassionate way, but in a thoughtful one, with a lot of time and energy that goes into not just expressing that, but the logistics. And this has certainly been a logistics heavy proposal. And so I think there's things that needs to be liberally spread. And I certainly, as the board member who represents this area, along with Councilmember Laloy and my nearby colleague on the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Desmond, I want to express my thanks to them as well. And I'll be certainly very supportive of this tonight, but I do look forward to hearing from the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cerna. Any other questions? If not, Tabitha, do we have public comment?
We do have a couple hands up, Jeffrey Tartagia and Nick Bryant.
Okay, and I ask that you comment just on this item, please. Jeffrey, go ahead.
If you can hear me, I'm speaking to you as the co-chair of the Sacramento Pit Committee role, that my concern is those that are outside on the Roseville Road, because knowing that there's over 300 encampments in Sacramento County and city, that my concern is that how you direct those that are outside, because we had the experience there at the W site that you still have, you had 5 to 7, and you have more than now 5 encampments locally around outside of that site. And unfortunately, public, or shall we, code enforcement has not been very effective at directing what code enforcement needs to be done around encampment sites. And I'm speaking specifically regarding the sidewalks. Yes, it's public site, but you have a public safety issue in there, which now Caltrans is taking a more active concern and is now directing for, should we say, their infrastructure concerns of what is public safety. I just bring that to your attention. I hope you are addressing that. And if not, as you invite people to be more concerned about this, I hope you come to someone comes from RT to the Pit Committee on I believe it's May 20th, where we will get into discerning how large the numbers are for our homeless community. And that's where I'll end my public comment with you right now.
Thank you, Mr. Tartagia. Mr. Bryant, go ahead.
Hello, I just wanted to say to Mayor Darryl Steinberg, thank you for doing this. And I'm ready to help. I'm ready to help out with the homeless, but I'm on board and I'm ready to help them out. We go out there every Thursday, me and my friend Mike Lord, we go out to this homeless camp on Roosevelt Road and we feed the homeless food on Thursdays. And I'm willing to help as much as I can do for you guys. So Mayor Darryl Steinberg, if you can give me the green light, I'm ready to come out and help out with the homeless, because I'm a good guy and I know what I could do in the community. I can always help, and we can always pitch in and feed the homeless and help out.
All righty, Nick, thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate it. Next, we have Barbara Stanton.
Okay, hello.
Hi,
Chair
Barbara.
And directors, I just want to say that Ridership for the Masses fully supports this action. It's a good thing, and that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. You get a gold star for your brevity. All right. Is there any other hands up, Tabitha?
We have Rick Hodgkins.
Go ahead, Rick.
Thank you. I would have to say that whatever we can do to keep the homeless away from the passengers, because as a disabled person using not only the buses, but the light rail system as well. Thank you, because being disabled, and again, using not only the buses, but the light rail system as well, I need to be, I'm very vulnerable, because as the song goes, as the old song goes by War, it's an old 70s song, but the world is a ghetto. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Rick. And safety is one of my key issues, so we'll keep that in mind. Any other public comment, Tabitha?
We have Director Harris has his hand up.
Well, I know. I want to take
okay.
public comment first.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And then let's move on to Ms. Director Harris.
Thank you, Chair Miller. This is a good compromise. I stated at the last meeting that it was imperative that we be able to protect the RT station and areas surrounding in order for this safe camping ground site to be effective and meaningful. I think that our respective teams have really forged a good agreement here, and I would like to move approval.
Okay, there's a motion by Director Harris.
Second, Cerna.
And a second by Director Cerna. Any other comments from the directors?
Are we doing both issues? Are we doing both issues together, Mr. Chair?
No, we're just on 4.3 right now. As far as I know. Let's handle this as separate.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. You're the chair.
Thank you. Please, can we change that somehow? With that, I lost my place, but it sounds like it's time to call for the vote. The one thing I would say about this is, and I've been very concerned, and thank you for the indemnification. It's still like a report back from staff monthly, maybe on some key performance indicators like how our ridership's doing, any incidents, safety or otherwise that we have, just to keep an eye on things. And, I hope this works. I'm willing to give this a try. And so I will be supporting this. And with that, please call the roll.
Director Budge. Still absent. Director Harris.
Aye.
Director Howell.
Yes.
Director Nguyen.
Yes.
Director Jennings is absent and Director Kennedy's absent. Director Natoli.
Aye.
Director Chenier.
Aye.
Director Cerna.
Aye.
Director Valenzuela. Yes. And Chair Miller.
Yes.
4.3 motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then next item, please. And I do want to thank our guests. You may stay on if you wish. I did notice we had Councilman Alohi with us. And thank you, Mayor Steinberg, for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, 4.4, Resolution 2022-05056, amending Title 15, prohibition of specified acts committed in or on RT vehicles or facilities of the Sac Rt Administrative Code. to provide notice of conduct prohibited under Public Utilities Code Section 99170. And Olga Sanchez Ochoa will be presenting this item.
Well, I don't have much more to say than what I said before. Basically, we're asking the board to amend Title 15 to add camping as a prohibited act under Public Utilities Code Section 99170. And then we are also incorporating the city's critical infrastructure ordinance by reference into our prohibited acts ordinance, so that both our police officers or the police officers assigned to regional transit and the city of Sacramento can enforce within Roseville Road and other properties owned by Sacramento Regional Transit District.
I'll move the item.
There's a motion by Chenier.
Yep.
I'll second it, but just a minor change in the subject on the staff report. At the very bottom, it says, it's just the numbers are mixed up, 99710, but it's 99170.
Yeah. Good
Great
catch.
catch with a set of fresh eyes. Okay, so there's a second by Director Nguyen, and I see Director Cerna. Did you want to ask a question or make a comment?
I was going to move it. Thanks.
Oh, okay. So with that, any public comment on this one, Tabitha?
There are no hands up.
All right, please call the roll.
Director Budge is absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell, Director Howell, Director Nguyen,
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela. Yes. Chair Miller.
Yes.
I'm going to go back to Director Howell one more time. And we'll go with resolution passes with 7 votes.
Very good. Thank you. Next item, please.
Okay, next item, we're going to go to 4.1, Resolution 2022-05-055, adopting the short-range transit plan, Sac Rt on the move for fiscal years 2022 to 2027. And Laura Ham is here to present this item.
Hello, Laura.
This is Laura. Can everyone hear me now? I apologize. I lost my internet connection.
Yes.
You're waiting for me. Okay. Thank you. Hopefully that won't happen again. I've been having intermittent issues. I'll preface with that. So good evening, Chair Miller, directors, and members of the public. It's my pleasure to present to you tonight the potential adoption of the Sac Rt Short Range Transit Plan, Sac Rt on the Move. This work is a culmination of efforts over the past many months. It was developed in-house by our small planning team. They're on standby tonight to help address any questions. Next slide, please. So thank you to the board for your input at the February 14th meeting and the release of the plan for public comment. To provide you with a quick recap, a short-range transit plan is required for Sac Rt as a direct recipient of federal funding, and our plan is expiring this year. The new plan spans fiscal years 2022 through 2027. It includes the September service changes authorized on consent and will be updated as needed in that time period. Our public comment period is now complete, and we have documented our public outreach efforts in the plan and in our written staff report. So thank you as well to our many partner agencies that have provided input on the document. Next slide, please. We shared these project considerations with you back in February. In summary, a primary goal of this project was to incorporate all the public comment and lessons learned since our Sac Rt Forward network redesign in 2019, and to encourage extensive feedback on what comes next in order to allow Sac Rt to develop a sensible plan for moving ahead. This 5-year plan builds upon the framework of the Sac Rt Forward network redesign project effort and also acknowledges the significant impacts of the pandemic and national workforce shortage. Another key consideration for the project is regional development. It notes efforts to provide input when new large development projects enter the planning stages and identification of transit service and infrastructure needs early in project development. As we discussed with you in February, we are also looking at our service as it relates to equity. Our plan states that Sac Rt's actions and service should embrace, nurture, and protect the diversity of our community and riders, consistent with the commitment to diversity and social justice, one of the core values outlined in our strategic plan. Our major service and fare changes include data-driven equity analysis, as was included with our September service change this evening. We acknowledge that there is always more work to be done to meet this goal, but the Sac Rt is committed to ensuring that transit is central to the protection and restoration of community, including access to resources and opportunities. Specific to our discussion surrounding the goal of climate action back in February, in addition to the work with the City of Sacramento Climate Commission, which we discussed at that meeting, we're also actively coordinating with the County of Sacramento on their climate action plan. Some specific issues in discussion are related to zero emission charging and transit supportive infrastructure. We'll delve a little more deeply into that and the upcoming update of our long range plan. As noted in the staff report, the plan is fiscally constrained and consistent with projected budget in the Sac Rt financial forecast model. The financial forecast model used to establish service levels does not assume a local sales tax measure during the life of the plan. Therefore, service improvements are primarily cost neutral. If a new funding source becomes available, such as a local sales tax measure, the model and the range transit plan would be amended accordingly, and Sac Rt would propose adding service where we have identified a need. Scenario building for a potential increase of funding is being conducted now as a separate effort, and a new local funding source will be essential for any significant expansion of the Sac Rt system and the growth of a high frequency service, which was envisioned in Sac Rt Forward. Next slide, please. Received during the comment period into the document, we received 95 written comments. A big thank you to all of our riders that took the time to participate in our outreach meetings and comment on the plan. Detailed explanations in response to the top 5 common requests are included in the 5-year service plan. As it relates to the requested extension of Route 13, there is a proposed extension to the nearby Route 11 to the Sacramento International Airport that will support new development in the area. In North Natomas, we have proposed a new route on Duckhorn Boulevard from Del Paso to downtown in direct response to a public comment. Another common request was Elk Grove weekend service. The plan already included more weekend service by 2027, which will depend on funding, but is consistent with the 7-day-a-week network implemented in the rest of our service area with Sac Rt Forward. Patrons did request an implementation date that was earlier than planned in most of their comments. The other 2 requests are outside of our project timeframe due to anticipated development in those areas or other constraints. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and we would be glad to take any questions. We are requesting action this evening to adopt the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Any questions or comments from directors? I'm not seeing any hands. With that, I'd ask for public comment, Tabitha.
We have Jeffrey Tartagia and Nick Bryant.
All righty, guys. Go ahead, Mr. Tartagia.
Yes, I appreciate the fact that 95 comments came in. I do believe every time that you offer the opportunity for public comment in there, you have a more helpful plan. I hope that the Los Rios and the 33 do coincide because with that development of that area going on, it seems like there is a depreciation of service. And I do appreciate hearing the strong suggestion about getting a, should we say, further bridge across the American River. Although I do am a little drawing some concern about dealing with the 160 bridge concerns through there. I'm serving right now on a Caltrans committee. And so the enlightenment there is offering some insight of what else may be happening in Sacramento. I hope that RT is well aware of that. And I do recognize that this is 5 years into the 10-year plan of dealing with the I-80 changes that are going on through Yolo County. I hope that is recognized as we proceed further on the expanding the 50 in recognition of further issues on transportation going on through there. And with that, I will end my public comment.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Mr. Bryant. Go ahead, Nick.
Nick, you need to unmute yourself. Do you want to move on to Rick Hodgkins?
Let's do that. Well, let's see if Nick comes back.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Hodgkins, go ahead.
No. Okay. I can't stress this enough. It seems like I have heard somewhere that the STA, Sacramento Transportation Authority, has tried numerous and various different times to put a local sales tax on the ballot, and that while I definitely have voted for it numerous and various different times for it myself, as have many others, it always has failed. This time turns out that a group of citizens has come together and is bringing it forward. I hope and praise that it passes, knowing that a group of citizens has brought it forward, is bringing it forward. So I can't trust, I can't stress this enough that this is what we need, knowing that it has worked in places like the Bay Area where they have chosen to tax themselves. And as far as, I'm glad that we're bringing more service to Natomas, even though I don't live there. I know that in the long-range transit plan that there is talk of light rail going in Natomas. The question is that where are they going to put it? Because 7 years ago, there was a squabble and a talk about where they're going to put it. So I hope that when it comes to the short range transit plan, that if we do need to make cuts, that we don't actually make cuts to service, that we, make cuts only where, let's just not make any more cuts to service, because that's been done more than enough times. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Rick. And I hope we're not making any more cuts either. Tabitha, we have any other public comment on this item?
No more public comment. No more public comment.
What's the pleasure of the board? So I will move, we adopt the short range transit plan.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Miller, second by, was that Chenier?
Yep.
Thank you, Jay. Roll call, please.
Okay, Director Budge is absent. Director Harris?
Aye.
Director Howell?
Yes.
Director Nguyen?
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli?
Aye.
Director Chenier?
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Item 4.1, resolution passes with 8 votes.
Okay, let's move on to item 4.2, please.
Item 4.2, resolution 2022-05047, approving a visual artwork policy and standards pertaining to the approval and placement on Sac Rt property. And Deborah Salinas is here to provide a brief update on this item.
Hi, good evening, board and members of the public. Tonight, I am once again bringing forth the visual artwork policy for adoption, which has been amended to address more clearly some of the matters raised during the March 28th board meeting. This includes art in public places in section 4 and public memorials in section 10 of the updated policy. The discussion regarding window coverage will also be addressed in future board and light rail advertising procurements. I'm happy to answer any additional questions or concerns that you may have at this time regarding the amended staff report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah. Any questions? I see Mr. Cerna has his hand up.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I just wanted to express my thanks to Deborah and Chris for taking the time to not just hear me at the last, well, it wasn't the last, but I guess a couple of meetings ago about this item. We had a chance to meet one-on-one, and I think the product of that conversation has helped shape a slightly improved policy, and certainly prepared to support it tonight. I know that we need to hear from the public, but you can expect a motion out of me in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cerna. I see no other director hands. Tabitha, do we have public comment on this item?
Barbara Stanton has her hand raised.
Who does?
Barbara Stanton.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Barbara.
Muted. Oh, Steve Miller, Chair Miller, and directors. Okay, we are concerned about the window coverings and hope that eventually that issue will be resolved. We have heard from some people that look out on the light rail and cannot see out, and very concerned by them. So we do hope, if that's what you were talking about, Deborah, we hope that that issue can be resolved. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Deborah, what was the resolution on that?
Oh, the resolution number or the resolution on the window coverings?
Yes, the window coverings.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to be sure. I don't. Okay, so what I'm planning to do is, I've heard that comment from quite a few people. So I want to make sure when I come back with the bus and light rail advertising contracts that we only cover at max 50% of the windows, so that people can see and in and see out. So we know that that's number one, a safety concern for people. I know cyclists want to know if there's space, so they want to be able to see in the train. And also it's a maintenance issue for us, quite frankly, on the windows. So I'm well aware of that. And my plan is to only at maximum cover 50% of windows moving forward.
All righty, thank you. Any other director comments or questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, Wynn.
Motion by Director Cerna and a second by Director Wynn. And someone mute their mic, please. There we go. And with that, roll call, please.
Okay, first I want to make sure, Director Natoli, did you log out and log back in?
Yeah, I got cut off. I'm back on, Tabitha. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's the same number.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Director Budge is absent. Director Harris?
Aye.
Director Howell?
Yes.
Director Wynn?
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli?
Aye.
Director Chenier?
Aye.
Director Cerna?
Aye.
Director Valenzuela?
Yes.
And Chair Miller.
All right.
4.2 resolution passes with 8 votes.
Okay, does that take us to item 5.1 now?
It sure does.
Please
So
call it in.
now we will start the public hearing. Item 5.1, preliminary fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budgets. And first, we will A, accept public comment on the Sacramento Regional Transit District preliminary fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budgets, and then B, ask for a motion to continue the public hearing to June 13th, 2022.
Perfect.
Good evening, Chair Miller, directors, and member of the public. Tabitha, you could please pull up the presentation. My name is Jamie Adelman, and I'm currently the acting VP of Finance and CFO for Sac Rt, and I am pleased to be presenting a balanced budget to the board this evening. So as soon as that presentation comes up, we will jump into the details. Perfect. If you go to next slide, please. So every budget has assumptions that we must look at strategically into the next future fiscal year. The FY23 operating budget includes provisions to maintain all current service levels with minor modifications throughout the year. The budget will also support the 4 strategic objectives identified by the board and executive management by focusing on customer satisfaction, operational excellence, community value, and employee engagement. Sac Rt will continue to utilize federal stimulus funds to offset fare revenue shortfalls, and we do not anticipate making any changes to the fare rates in the current year. Our focus right now is to bring riders back to the system. Finally, no staffing reductions will occur, and actually more frontline positions are going to be added to improve service delivery and workforce development. All employees will receive their annual increases based on CBAs or appropriate governing documents. Next slide, please. The FY23 operating budget is currently coming in at approximately $230.9 million. Sac Rt still has a healthy focus on operations with 77% of the operating costs being focused on operations, and 23% of the budget is for administrative support. And this includes departments like finance, legal, IT, planning, engineering, HR, all those behind the scenes supporting departments. The capital budget is continuing to grow as Sac Rt identifies strategic infrastructure projects that need to progress forward. The current increase is approximately $262 million. However, that balance will increase as we currently have an active call for projects from all the departments at Sac Rt. Right now, we have about 127 capital projects underway, and the final capital budget for FY23 will be presented at the June meeting. Some of the major capital projects driving the budget increase are listed here and have been an ongoing focus for Sac Rt staff. We currently have 28 new LRVs under production and almost have enough funding pulled together for an additional 8 to 10 cars. It's very exciting. The downtown riverfront streetcar is progressing, and that will definitely be an area of focus for our engineering team in FY23. Next slide, please. Again, the total operating budget for FY23 is approximately $230.9 million, of which 90% of the revenues come from 3 sources. The first one is our state assistance, specifically LTF dollars, and that makes up 35% or $82 million of our revenues. The second is Measure A, local sales tax. That's a local sales tax measure. It makes up 29% or $67.2 million of our revenues. And then finally here, the federalist stimulus funds. They make up 26% or $60.7 million. Those federal stimulus dollars this year are comprised of about $3.9 million of CARES Act received from Elk Grove as part of the annexation, $29.4 million of CRISA funds, and about approximately $27 million of ARP funds. If we continue to spend, or if we spend based on this target, we will have about $70 million of ARP funds available for the FY24 and future budgets. The other smaller sources are comprised of fares and other miscellaneous income. Next slide, please. So now let's go over how we spend the $230.9 million. The amounts presented here are direct costs of providing service. All of the administrative support functions have been lumped together for ease of presentation. So you can see the largest budget area is bus operations at $99 million. This includes all fixed route bus, Smart Ride, CBS fixed, and contracted services. The second largest is the compilation of all the administrative departments, again, including, finance, HR, IT, legal, all of the supporting departments. And then next on the list is our light rail department, approximately $49 million or 21% of the operating budget. And again, here you can see that most of our operating budget is focused on operations and public safety. We're really working to achieve those strategic goals of operational excellence, community value, and customer satisfaction. Next slide, please. The FY23 capital budget is still in development, but the current mix of projects is heavy on revenue vehicle replacement. As you're aware, we are actively replacing our light rail vehicles and our 40-foot CNG vehicles. We just had 6 new CNG vehicles go into revenue service last week, and we have 14 more that were delivered by the manufacturer, Gillig, that are in various stages of becoming revenue ready, and they've got that great new bus smell. They're beautiful. Next slide, please. So this one is exciting and really good news for Sac Rt. The current operating cash reserve account balance is $23.5 million, which is outstanding. It really demonstrates that Sac Rt has been acting in a fiscally responsible manner and setting aside reserves to manage potential revenue shortfalls in the future. Sac Rt is on pace to end FY22 with an operating surplus of approximately $3.5 million. The comprehensive reserve policy has a target of retaining 12.5% of the annual operating budget in the operating reserve cash account. The target amount for FY22 is $26.8 million. Should we end the current fiscal year with a surplus of 3.5, we will have achieved that policy target. I'm very proud of this achievement. It would not be possible without the fiscally responsible leadership from our board, our general manager, and our executive management team. And as we know, this policy changes every year, or the target changes each year. And the target for FY23 will be approximately $28.8 million. Next slide, please. Finally, I'd like to talk about the financial outlook for Sac Rt. We continue to need additional funding for state of good repair projects. Many of our facilities are aged and need significant repairs. In addition, as we have grown, the current layout of some of the facilities is no longer functional, and they need to be redesigned and updated with new fixtures and furniture. COVID is definitely still impacting ridership and therefore fare revenues. We are keeping a very close eye on this and constantly brainstorming ways to attract riders back to the system. We hope to be coming back to the board soon with some potential ridership initiatives. On a very positive note, Sac Rt's cash position has improved exponentially. We have approximately $30 million of cash on hand, and that's above the $23.5 million reserve to cover operational costs. And we have not used our line of credit since September of 2020. That's a very big deal for Sac Rt. It's actually unprecedented. And that has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest expense. So that's a huge positive move for Sac Rt. Finally, our grants team has done a remarkable job of pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars in grant funding over the past few years. In FY22 alone, the grants team has secured $183 million of competitive dollars for over 20 projects. We're still awaiting the results on 15 applications, and we have very high hopes that we will be successful in those applications. And also thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're seeing an increase in the UZA allocation of federal 5307 and 5337 funds that Sac Rt has historically used for operations. This will assist in providing financial stability to Sac Rt when the stimulus funds are exhausted. Next slide, please. Finally, just to recap the process for the budget cycle, the preliminary FY23 operating and capital budgets were released for the 60-day review on April 11th. This meeting is our formal public hearing to receive public comment, and then I will be back with the final budget for adoption on June 13th. And with that, I'd just like to thank you for your time, and I'm available for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Jamie. Great news on the reserve. That's been a big issue for me, and that's really why we haven't had to use our line of credit either.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from directors? If I'm not seeing any hands up, if not, I'll open the public hearing. Is there any public comment, Tabitha?
Jeffrey Tartagia has his hand up.
All right, Mr. Tartagia. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Jeffrey. As I mentioned when I had a preview of this at the MAC board, and I see the first chart slated with the quote 214. So I see 230 now as a operational concern. I also bring to you on the capital one, it would be nice if for the public, the projects could be further explicitly said than just the percentages that you're discussing with the pie chart. Also would be helpful if the acronyms for the public would be somewhere charted out, explained for dealing with your funding sources. But all in all, appreciate seeing such a budget. I recall almost 10 years ago, directing the question about line of credit when it was first with, that I'm aware of, with Wells Fargo, and then went to US Bank and other concerns. So it's appreciative to hear that it's not had to be utilized in the last couple of years. And I appreciate also the factor of more application to make sure we get more state. And I'm hoping in the general manager's report, we'll come back some other comments about how the cap to cap study, what it may have given a heads up and outline. But appreciate seeing that. I just would offer that for the public, explain more of the acronyms and see that the dollar numbers and percentages on your pie charts work out. I note it's at the top line showing the capital or the budget items totals, but I would appreciate seeing a more delineation of percentages and dollar amounts as a series of line items in there, as well as you pie charting it. And that's just a request that I believe it would be more helpful to explain to the public about what is going on and doing with this budget. And I thank you for that.
Jeffrey, any other public comment, Tabitha?
Rick Hodgkins.
Go ahead, Rick.
As with, well, the same thing for the capital budget as with the short range transit plan, that the one thing I forgot to bring up was there was talk about changes to the light rail and a new bus bay with the Amtrak station, a new bus bay at the Amtrak station for RT buses as well as Amtrak buses. I don't know if this applies only to RT or as well as to Amtrak buses at the Amtrak station or with the light rail. What I was going to talk about was, and I know this is involved in the capital project as well, if I remember right, can we please make sure that, you know, if this involves one of the projects, if this is included in the projects, to make sure that there is signage available, not just in print for the sighted people, but make sure that there is signage available either auditorily and or in Braille for people that cannot see. And again, I don't know if this is involved either in the capital project and or in the short range transit plan. I'm glad that there are new light rail vehicles coming on for the low range and low floor light rail vehicles. So that's all I needed to add. So anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Rick. Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak?
Nick Bryant.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yes, I would like to say the part of the short range transit plan. I would like to look at putting Connect cards inside the light rail vehicles and also inside Sac Rt Go buses. And I would like for us to start using Connect cards, get used to start using Connect cards on Sac Rt Go paratransit buses, because it would be easier instead of me paying $5. I would like to use my Connect card on Sac Rt Go paratransit buses and also light rail vehicles, because outside you can't even use the Connect card machine outside of the light rail stations because it's always vandalized, it's always broken, and RT has to come out every time to fix them, and it's cost a lot of money. It's a lot of money for them to fix them every time at the light rail station. So I would like to see them on light rail vehicles and Sac Rt Go paratransit buses. It would be easier. And also looking at rebuilding Wadi 80, rebuild it, make a new one, make it look like, put beautiful artwork. And also on the elevators, the Wadi 80 elevators on the northbound side, there's like graffiti all over inside the northbound elevator that needs to be cleaned up immediately. And we just need, there's some things that we need to fix and address. But like I said, putting Connect cards on Sac Rt go buses, paratransit buses would be easier. And also putting Connect card machines on the light rail vehicles. It would be easier inside instead of having Connect card machines being broken every time. It's just ridiculous. Thank you.
You're welcome, Nick. Thanks for your comments. Any other comments, Tabitha?
Helen O'Connell.
Hey, Helen, go ahead.
Yes, I am glad that we have a surplus and that we're in good standing. But I think we should concentrate on getting our services better, on time services on time for RT Go, and not as many missed trips on the standard bus system. I don't know how to address that, but I'm sure if we focus on that, it would greatly enhance our ability to provide on-time service for both services. And it's important that it's reliable. The standard bus system and the RT Go system. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Appreciate your comments. Any other comments there, Tabitha?
There's no other public comment.
With that, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to continue this item to the public hearing on June 13th, 2022.
Motion, this is Stephanie Nguyen.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I said I moved the item, sorry.
Oh, very good, very good. Motion by Director Nguyen.
I'll second, Jeff Harris.
Second by Harris. Please call the roll.
Director Budge is absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Yes.
Director Nguyen,
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kennedy is absent. Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
Chair Miller.
Yes,
Motion passes with 8 votes.
thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, number 6, public addresses the board on matters not on the agenda.
All right, here's where we get public comment on matters not on the agenda. That is not what the consent calendar is for. So I ask if you have matters on the agenda, you use item 6 here. And with that, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have a few hands raised. We'll start with Barbara Stanton.
Go ahead, Mrs. Stanton.
Okay, so I'll try to be real quick. Barbara Stanton again. Just to jump on what Helen said today, I don't know if you're aware, but today over 17 routes, 80 trips were bus cancellations. They range from mid-morning to evening. This is a real problem. It happens every day. The other day there was 63 bus trips canceled over the system. We have worked with staff. We've had a meeting with staff to try to find out how it would be a way to tell people that these trips are not happening. So we hope that we will continue to work with staff to figure out something. But canceling bus trips is kind of unacceptable to us because people can't get to where they're going. And that's all I have to say on that. And the other thing I wrote a note about, we'd like to see the agenda back on Wednesday or Thursday instead of Friday. We know you have 72 hours, but it really cuts it close for people to look at the agenda, make comments, and like that. I guess we got kind of we were spoiled because we did have the agenda on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I know there's a 72-hour minimum, and RT lately has been using the 72-hour minimum. And again, we would like to see the agenda post on a Wednesday or Thursday. But the bus trip cancellation is really a big thing with us, and we hope to continue to work with RT to figure out a way to let people know that their bus isn't going to come, and hope that RT can clear up the bus trip cancellation issue, because we haven't been able to sort of pin it down why all these bus cancellation trips are happening. So that's my comment, and thank you very much.
All right. Well, perhaps our general manager can address that during his report. Any other comments?
Allison Kustik.
Go ahead, Allison.
Good evening, board. I would like to encourage the board to conduct oversight on the effectiveness and success of the Sac Rt Smart Ride program. I'm someone who takes public transit nearly daily to get to and from work. And since the service changes that were severely cut back at the beginning of April, I've had to rely on the Smart Rt program much more often. And several times I've had to wait for a bus 30, 40, 45 minutes after it was estimated to be in its location, in the pickup location. And it's me and other riders who are experiencing this inconsistency. That's really a problem when we don't have, a consistent bus route to take. We're relying on this system that I think these wait times indicate that it isn't successful. So I'd like to request that you provide some oversight on that program and see how it might be improved. And I have communicated with Sac Rt staff on this problem, and I'm happy to assist in however we can work to improve this service. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Point well taken.
I'm tired.
Next comment.
We have
No.
Rick Hodgkins.
And Jay, mute yourself.
No.
I would like to thank Nick Bryant for mentioning the elevators. At Watna 80, we have 2 brand new elevators installed so far. And I can't help but that wonder why people are writing graffiti and vandalizing on the new elevator doors. If that's happening, that needs to stop right now. And speaking of the elevators, we need to do what the BART system is doing in the Bay Area and has been doing for years, and that is letting people know on the bus and light rail system auditorily if the new elevators ever are out of order, and that when, because I mean, I know that they're new elevators, but but should they ever go out of order, when? But and maybe that could be something in the long range transit plan, perhaps over a 10-year period. But my main thing is, and then of course, the other thing is, as funds permit, with auditory signage, we already have a PA system at the light rail stations telling people, about advertising and telling people that they must, have fare to be in the station. What about using that auditory PA system to tell blind people when the next train comes? Again, we already have a system like that in the Bay Area for BART and for San Francisco Muni. So why not implement that up here? So, and I can't help but that wonder why people are already writing graffiti on and vandalizing the brand new elevators, knowing that we just installed them last year. So again, thank you.
Good question, Rick. Thank you. Any other comments?
We have Jeffrey Tartagia.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I will echo the statement, and I guess it's back to Olga, is because we've known we've had a problem with elevators in the past at I-80. Why did we not have some cameras either outside or inside for that trip to address the problem of graffiti and the problem of urination that does still create the smell in the I-80 elevators? Another subject matter, I believe, of concern is, we'll say, we are going to be having a more senior population, and I wonder how RT is directing the concern of the master plan on aging that is for the state, but how in Sacramento County that is effectively being considered for, unfortunately, we'll call it planning purposes, because I don't know where else RT possibly should be concerned about it. But I also bring up the concern is that if there's a new restraint system for our electronic, and the concern that is still there, and possibly with the more, should we say, greater diversity of Sacramento County, I was on a ride where an individual simply would not move, I believe as a communication failure for the driver, so that the area space on the bus would be made available, so a second, should we say, electronic wheelchair could be put above the bus. And I note that on 51 and on the 30, that is an issue that it recurs. I believe it also may occur on the 82 and other routes that go to the colleges. And please note where that's being tracked and what the numbers are is something I think should be getting better provided to the MAC committee so they understand if that is an issue and is a problem. I recall a conversation some time ago about the 51, realizing how many on the weekend ride and just the capacity through there. And again, dealing with the Barbara's question about dealing with the 51, I have had where it's been 30 minutes plus waiting for a 51, and the system doesn't acknowledge, it doesn't even say a delay and the show. So addressing the reliability of both the Smart Ride and our standard bus system. I know I've been participating in part of those conversations about what we could do better. And I do feel that there should be a way of, at least when a bus line is going to have a delay, that somewhere that should be put the ability. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jeffrey. Thank you for your comments. Next.
There's no more hands raised, but Glenn Mandelkorn was unable to log in to the meeting, and he would like me to read his comment into the record.
Okay.
Okay, he says, I have good news and bad news today for item number 6. The good news is I really want to express my appreciation for the many forms of free ride flyers made available between the last board meeting and today. I made use of the system-wide one on Earth Day, especially to see the latest stages of one of Henry Lee's transit-oriented development projects. I also got to attend 2 Latino-oriented events to get back in touch with my Hispanic roots. Sac Rt made free ride flyers for Fiesta in La Calle on April 30th and May 1st. Also, I attended the Franklin Boulevard Festival yesterday, where I actually met Jay Chenier. Unfortunately, as some Sac Rt people are aware, I was attacked yesterday at the Fruit Ridge station during my return. Someone wrestled me and stole my phone. I'm physically okay. Mentally, I feel a little uneasy, hence my not participating tonight. I'm grateful to those at Sac Rt who are putting me at ease and with whom I'll follow up tomorrow. I otherwise really wanted to attend tonight's meeting, especially for the SRTP and other key subjects. Good luck to you all. Glenn Mandelkorn.
Thank you for doing that, Tabitha. And with that, are we done with item 6?
We are done with item 6.
All right, let's move on to the next one, please.
The next item is 8.1, the general manager's report.
Okay, thank you. I will be very quick, Mr. Chair, since I think we're a little bit tired. So let me begin by wishing all the mothers a belated Happy Mother's Day. I hope everyone took time to celebrate. Today is May 9th, which means the annual May is Bike Month tradition is well underway. Everyone knows that transit and cycling make a great team in helping to combat climate change. And then next, I would like to provide some legislative updates. From state level, at the end of April, the state senator released the budget plan. The package includes $20 billion for infrastructure over the next 4 years. If the state legislature can reach agreement, this plan will position our state to successfully leverage the federal bipartisan infrastructure law to its fullest. On the federal side, I want to thank Sac Rt board members that were back in Washington, D.C. last week advocating for investments in public transit. Chair Miller, along with Director Harris, Attorney Budget, and Jennings, with 2 Sac Rt staff, will advocate for our region and thanked our delegation for a support of the bipartisan infrastructure law. The bipartisan law combining with the transportation appropriation bill gave 37% of the more formula funds and 60% more discretionary funds. As Congress prepares for the FY23 budget, there will be again an opportunity for members to seek community project funding. House members are limited to 15 requesters, so we are extremely honored to have been informed that Congressman Barr will move forward with our request for funding the low-floor conversion of several library stations along the Gold Line. And we have also submitted to the rest of our delegation in the Capitol and are waiting to hear back. Now I will skip the procurement and business waiver section and move on to the topic multiple people have talked about today. The elevators at our Watt I-80 library station have been totally new now. The 2 new elevators at this station now open for riders who are unable to use the stairs, as you can see from the screen. We would like to thank everyone for their patience during the upgrade process. We're so excited to say this station fully operable for our customers. Future improvement plans are underway for this transit center or hub to link northeast region in the Northern California. The improvement plans include reconfiguring in the east and west stairways to increase visibility and safety, upgrading the transit center on Watt Avenue by enhancing safety, lighting, seating, and widening the bus loading zone. Currently, the project is in preliminary engineering with anticipated final design complete by summer next year. Regarding our Q Street lease, at the end of last month, I signed the lease agreement for approximately 20,000 square feet of office space at 1102 Q Street. The office building is across the street from Sac Rt's Customer Service Center and adjacent to our 13th Street Library Station. And it's conveniently served by all 3 library lines and several bus routes. The building will host Sac Rt's administrative staff, Phase 1 of the move-in will begin later this summer. To conclude my remarks, I want to offer my congratulations and thanks to the budget team and the agency-wide staff too for a smooth budget process. If you can recall, last 3-4 years, our budgeting process has been very smooth, and we always come up with a fiscally responsible budget and identify new and innovative funding sources very exceptional way. I also want to thank the leadership team for having a strong sense of responsibility and ownership for the physical health of the agency, and for ensuring a highly responsible, accountable, and reasonable budget that will ensure equitable service to the community. And while we are on this topic, I do want to share the good news that Sac Rt's FY22 budget document received Government Financial Officers Association's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award again. Thank you to the budget team and the agency-wide staff for your hard work and dedication to Sac Rt. And just to answer a hot topic, several community leaders raised about bus cancellations, and we have been working extremely diligent, try to to address the workforce shortage issue. We're in a very unprecedented period or time in the history that with great resignation or the reshuffling of the workforce across all sectors of the economy. We have been strategically trying to say if we want to cut our service by 10% or 15%, then we would not have any cancellations whatsoever. Or the next option is keep our service to 93, 90, 95, 98%, but cancel some services which we strategically look at those routes or particular trips with a very with list of the ridership. So we have been balancing that, try to get the best balance on that. Sometimes we had like 1 or 2 or 3 cancellations. Sometimes not just less than 0.1%. Sometimes we had up to 8% of cancellations because different reasons. So that being said, this concludes my remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Henry. Any directors have any questions or comments? If not, I think we have one public comment. Jeffrey, if you can get it done in a minute, I'd appreciate it.
Actually, he took his hand down.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well, that's
sorry.
even quicker than a minute. Thank you, Henry. And with that, we'll move on to the next item.
The next item is number 9, reports, ideas, and questions from directors, if any.
I'm not seeing any hands up. So I think it's safe to move to the next item.
The next item is closed session, item 13.1, conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, existing litigation, A, Johnson versus Sac Rt, case number 34200000282348, and B, Vickers versus Sac Rt, case number 34201700218342.
Okay, and I need to ask if we have any public comment on these items.
I don't see any hands up, and I don't have any public comment.
Okay, before we adjourn from the open session into the closed session, Olga, am I going to have anything to report out?
No, there won't be anything to report out.
Okay, there won't be a report out. So all who will be attending the closed session can join the meeting using the link that's been provided. And with that, our regular meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha.